What is going on, you guys? It is Frank the Tank, and I've got a question for you. What is something that other bowlers do that really irritates you? In other words, what are your bowling pet peeves? Now, I, for one, have quite a number of bowling pet peeves, and I'm going to share those with you right here in this video. And if that's not enough, I put up a community post asking you guys for some of your bowling pet peeves, and we're going to share those right here as well. Let's get started. Okay, you guys, so we're going to start this video off by telling you some of my bowling pet peeves, and then once I'm done with that, we will go ahead and read out some of the ones that you guys left me in my community post. So let's do this. Bowling pet peeve number 1. People who turn their ball around on the ball return looking for the holes of the ball and then just pick it up by the holes. So if any of you are a little bit confused by what I just said there, I didn't really know how I could make that one any clearer, but basically somebody who walks up to the ball return, finds their ball, and then turns it around looking for the holes, and then they pick it up by the holes. I did mention this in one of my league videos. I think it was week number 20 of league. I'm not sure. But I did talk about how that just really irritates me. I don't ever give anybody like a hard time about it, though. I keep that comment to myself. But yeah, what is so difficult about walking up to the ball return, finding your ball, and then just picking it up like that? Bowling pet peeve number 2. People who slam their bowling balls into the rack where the extra balls go. Now, every bowling center or bowling alley, whatever you want to call it, every single place has this. You know how if the ball return runs out of space and they have that extra. They have that rack where you could put extra balls, or in an effort, like in order to avoid the ball return getting flooded with bowling balls, they have that extra rack for you to put extra bowling balls. Well, we have those too, obviously. Ours is kind of funny looking. It's located right behind the ball return, and it's like a circular table on top where you could place stuff, and underneath that table is a circular rack, 2 of them actually, where you could place extra bowling balls. People, I have seen this so many times, take their bowling balls and slam them in there. It's insane. Okay, so this next one I actually just remembered from a conversation that I had with my friend Ivan, the guy who customized my shoes for me. I remember in the conversation we had some time ago, he actually told me about something that this actually happens, and I can't believe this actually happens. Check this out. People who take smoke breaks during league. Yes, he actually told me that this kind of thing actually happens, and I can't believe that. I mean, I've seen people take smoke breaks before and after league, but during league, that's just something else. I mean, just imagine. I mean, have any of you ever actually experienced that? Somebody actually having the nerve to go during league outside to take a smoke break and you having to wait for them? Oh my goodness, I would be so irritated. That should be a rule. No smoke breaks during league. I mean, isn't it enough that people are allowed to eat and drink during league? Smoke breaks? That is so not cool. Like, having to wait for somebody to take God knows how long to go outside and take their smoke. I mean, I can only imagine my friend Ivan having to wait late at night in the bowling center, or probably being the last one on his pair to finish the games, along with anybody else who's there with him, just because of that one douche canoe who decided to go outside and take a smoke break. Pet peeve number 4. People who bring urethane to league but have absolutely no clue how to use it. This is probably a pet peeve for most, if not all of us. Now, I for one am guilty of using urethane during league, but the thing is that I know how to use it, and I don't bring it out with intentions of ruining somebody else's line or something like that. I only bring it out when I struggle at trying to use all the other stuff that I have at my disposal. You guys have seen it in my league videos. The evidence is right there. When I have like a solid cover ball, a hybrid cover, pearl cover ball, and it doesn't matter what it is. When I am struggling to execute and I can no longer string strikes together, my second to last resort is bringing out my urethane ball to string strikes together, because I know I can always count on that ball to get me a good score, or to, you know, get me back on track. And yeah, like I said, at least I know how to properly use it. I don't just toss it all over the lane and you know, just to mess with people or anything like that. But I've never actually come across that. Where somebody just, you know, just brings it just to toss it all over the place, or because they have no idea the kind of damage it could cause, if you know what I mean. Pet peeve number 5, parents who don't watch their kids. This one right here, it's not just a pet peeve for me, it's a pet peeve for the employees of the establishment as well. Mainly the manager. They've told me plenty of times they hate it when they see parents never keeping their eyes on their kids, and their kids are just running around wreaking havoc, doing whatever. Worst case scenario, they end up getting hurt, or they end up breaking some piece of equipment or something like that. But you know, it's especially irritating when you see parents have that large group of kids and, you know, they just let them do whatever, or they're too distracted with something else to even keep an eye on their kids. Honestly, for me personally, the one thing that comes up is, if you're gonna have like a large group of kids, go take this somewhere else. Don't bring it to a bowling place. Go to the park or something like that. And for my last pet peeve of the day, parents who watch their kids do dumb things and do nothing about it. Now, this kind of scenario I've actually seen happen at least once. If there were other times, then I just can't remember them, but I do remember it was a birthday party that was happening like on the right side of the building, and I was like on the left side almost. And yeah, there was this party of like 10, maybe 12 kids, and things were looking like they were okay until I remember at some point I see like 3 or 4 kids just throwing themselves out onto the lane like it's some kind of slip and slide. And the parents are clearly aware that this is happening, and they're doing nothing about it. And as much as I hate to be the rat here, I felt I needed to jump in and say something. So I went to the main desk and I told them, hey, look, these kids, they're like throwing themselves out onto the lane. And that's when the manager stepped in and had to tell the parent, like, can you please keep an eye on your kids? They cannot be doing this and that and so on and so forth. It was unbelievable that this lady watching all these kids, along with 2 other women who were clearly there and watching what was going on, that they were just letting this happen and doing absolutely nothing about it. Okay, so that pretty much covers all of my pet peeves. There were probably more, but I just couldn't think of them. These were the only ones I could think of at the moment. But yeah, those were some of my pet peeves. And now that is covered, we can now start looking at some of the pet peeves that you guys left for me to share. All right, so let's start this one off with one that was left by Don Hughes. My pet peeve is when people walk off their shots into my lane. It's not courteous and it's distracting. Stay in your own lane. It's not hard. I have to agree with this one, even though I don't believe it has ever happened to me. I mean, people walking into my lane after they've thrown their shot, I know for a fact that kids walking into my space just as I'm about to begin my approach, it has happened, but you know, people like during league or something like that, it's never happened to me, and I hope it doesn't. But I totally get what you mean with this. Like when people are running it out, as they say, like they would like run it back or something, or they would like, you know, start moving to the side or something like that. I totally get what you mean. I could totally picture it already happening, and you'd be like, what are you doing? Like, get back into your lane. So I could totally get with that one, you know, stay in your lane. It really isn't that difficult, but you can just tell when people do this sort of thing, they're getting way too into the game and taking it a little too seriously. All right, so this next one comes from Booyah CS. My pet peeve is when they roll the ball on the ball return to get their ball, and they roll like 3 balls away from touching theirs. Just pick up the ball. You don't need to push it forward and move the balls on the ball return. I totally get what you're saying with this one, and I have seen it happen. Believe it or not, I haven't seen it happen recently, and it probably has happened, but again, I haven't been like noticing it. I can honestly just picture that right now. Someone at the ball return just pushing other bowling balls around, trying to find their bowling ball, like if they're trying to like find their luggage on that conveyor belt thingy at the airport. All right, this next one comes from the 4 bowlers. When open bowlers walk into your approach space. There was this one time I was bowling, a college kid bowled right after me and knocked me onto the lane. Dude, you've got to be kidding me with that. You see, that, I don't know if I just mentioned this like a couple minutes ago, but this is a fear of mine. If like, especially like with kids, because I've plenty of times I've had to bowl with kids on the to the left of on the lane to the left of me or to the right of me, and I'm always in fear that somebody will not keep to their lane and will end up walking into my space, and I end up colliding with them, and we end up getting seriously injured. And you know what, four bowlers, if you're seeing this, I really will hope that you like reply and leave me like an aftermath or something. Like, what happened after this? Did somebody get hurt? Did the guy at least apologize? What happened? I'd love to hear more from this scenario. All right, this next one is by Revolts. When people complain about the other team getting lucky strikes by going through the head pin or going Brooklyn. I'm kind of guilty of this. I used to do this several years ago, but now, here we are today, and I keep my comments to myself. I never give anybody a hard time about anything, especially when it comes to that, because really, when I go to league, I don't really care about what my team does or what the other team does. I try to focus on my own game because I feel like that's what's most important to me. Sometimes I do care about getting the win, sometimes I don't, but mainly I go there to focus on my own game. I don't care if somebody wants to, throw it, straight down the lane or whatever. The one issue I will say I do have is when somebody, going back to the urethane thing, is when somebody brings it and doesn't know how to use it and just tosses it all over the place. But other than that, this one right here, I guess I can understand that one. When people like would complain about the other team, I have seen this sort of thing where somebody would complain to their teammate or something like that, oh, this guy, he doesn't even know how to bowl properly. He's just throwing it down there and he's getting better pin action than me or something like that. I have seen that happen. I've never done it, well, at least not in the past 2-3 years or so, but I used to do it like in the first year or so of me bowling, which was quite pathetic and embarrassing now that I look back on it, because I wasn't even a good bowler myself, and yet I was complaining about it. But yeah, if I were to complain about this, I would keep it to myself for sure, if I were to do it right now. But other than that, I really don't care what other people think now or what they do. But you have to admit, sometimes it is kind of uncool when somebody gets better pin action than you and they toss it down the lane and you're the one that's playing properly. It does kind of, get under your skin a little bit, you have to admit. All right, this next one comes from MXN Angel 101. This one I don't really get all that much. I don't know how it counts as a pet peeve for me, the way I look at it at least, but if it gets you angry, then I guess that's your pet peeve. When someone gets a lot of fouls or is not taking their time for their approach. Now, the reason I don't see this as a pet peeve for me personally is because someone getting a lot of fouls, if that were to happen on my team, yeah, I would get pretty irritated about it because that's costing our team, that's costing us the win. But if somebody were doing it on the other team, I really don't care. I mean, hey, I'll take that easy win, even though, I will say a part of me wouldn't feel good about it because I feel like I didn't earn that win, an easy win. That's not really that cool. It's better to earn it, right? But yeah, someone not taking their time for their approach, I don't know about that one. I mean, if somebody wants to rush it, go for it. I mean, it helps get through the game quicker. But if the problem I have is when someone takes way too much time in their approach. But other than that, I'm not really sure where the irritation is in that one. But hey, if it gets you irritated, then that's on you. But for me, I don't see it as a pet peeve in my eyes. However, I will say this. I did see this before, back a couple years ago, when somebody would throw a really bad shot or something like that, or they would end up guttering it, they would stick their foot out across the line just to intentionally foul. I don't know why people would do that, but I have seen it. Can anybody, if you've ever seen this happen, or if any of you know why this happens, do you know why they do that? This next one comes from Chris Coetes, or Chris Coates. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm going to say that it's Coetes. Sorry if I butchered that. I'm not really good with last names. But anyway, his pet peeve is damaging alley equipment, the ball return, foul line device, etc. I'm guilty of this. I admit it right here, right now. You guys have seen it. I can't hide it. I have hit the ball return. I have kicked it. I have slapped it. I'm guilty. There's not much I can say, but I'm definitely with this one. I can understand it, especially for the maintenance crew who are constantly, having to watch over the lanes and have to, make sure that everything is running smoothly. For somebody to have to watch somebody like just totally, hit something like the monitor or the ball return or breaking some piece of equipment or like the foul light thing. I've never seen that happen and I've never done that, but I can totally understand it. I think that one personally, that would be a pet peeve for the maintenance crew a lot more, and of course the employees as well. So yeah, I want to take the time to apologize for all those times that I wailed on the ball return. That poor ball return did not deserve that for my bad bowling and for my bad behavior. All right, so this next one comes from Damara Poledna, or Damara Poledna. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Again, I'm not good with names and pronunciations, but he said he had quite a bit to say here. Check this out. I try not to be negative towards anything that has to do with the sport I love, but I will say this. I wish people could understand how to use the 10 minutes of warm-up before league more efficiently. When you stand on the approach waiting for your ball so you can then meticulously line up your spare shot, you are wasting a lot of time that others need to loosen up. Throw one ball and then allow the next bowler to roll theirs without resetting the rack. Each bowler will get 3 times as many shots in during the allotted warm-up. So I personally have to agree with this one, although I've never come across this kind of thing in my league. Because everybody I've ever come across in league understands the rules of the game and the rules of practice. You take your ball, throw one shot, and that's it. Move on. Nobody ever really gets their time wasted. Everybody always gets a decent amount of shots. Everybody always gets a full rack to shoot at. Everybody, so I still though, despite the fact that everything always turns out for the best in the 10 minutes of practice in my league, for every person that I've ever come across, I still have to agree with this, because not everybody everywhere knows this stuff, and I have to agree with you there. I really do wish there were people out there that everybody would understand how to use the 10 minutes of practice more efficiently. All right, this next one comes from Ben Nguyen. Bowlers stepping on the approach and staying there before the rack comes down with the pins, while the next lane over already had their pins on the lane. Okay, so this one to me sounds like it falls under the category of lane courtesy. Honestly, if the person who's waiting for who got there first but is still waiting for the thing to set down fresh pins, they should honestly look over to the next person and say, "Oh, go ahead," because that's something that we do in our league when we're unsure of who got there first or whatever. We always kind of communicate with the person to the left and right of us, and we make sure are you okay to go, or do you want to go, things like that. So yeah, that one for me sounds like it falls under the whole lane courtesy thing. All right, these next two are basically the same thing. One comes from Wolfpack97 and the other comes from Twins.f1. Wolfpack says, I hate when a bowler takes too long or is taking too long with his or her bowling balls. And then Twins F1 says, when bowlers take a ridiculous amount of time on their approach. I get a routine that helps consistency. However, taking 5 minutes to throw a ball is annoying. Yeah, I have come across this, but I never say anything. Again, I keep my comments to myself because I'm pretty sure that when I'm up on the approach, I feel like I'm taking way too much time, but I don't know how much time I'm taking, and no one ever tells me if I'm taking too much time or not, because again, I, like many of the other people that I have bowled with, we keep our comments to ourselves, or we probably trash talk to another teammate. Well, I never trash talk to another teammate about somebody, but yeah, I can totally understand that when people take way too much time. We can just recognize, I don't know about you guys, but I'm good at recognizing when someone's taking too much time, when someone's taking just the right amount of time, or when someone rushes it. All right, this next one comes from Hustle. Blaming the house for any number of reasons, but clearly using the wrong equipment/line. This one, I have seen it happen. I've seen people blame the lane, they blame the oil pattern. They would say that their ball is hooking out of the building or something like that, like something's wrong with this place. I've seen it happen. I've seen people using the wrong equipment, playing the wrong path or something like that. I mean, I'm guilty of it, but I've never really blamed the house or anything like that. And if I have, then I haven't noticed it. But I'm pretty certain that I don't think I would ever blame, the house for my bad bowling. I know for a fact that I always take responsibility for, like, if I've had a bad night, I always take full responsibility for that. I always blame myself because I know when I bowled bad. I know that I'm guilty of it, though. I have done it years back when I was very inexperienced. But other than that, I totally get that one, and I've seen it happen. I've heard someone say, dude, what is up with this lane? Like, my ball is hooking out of the building or something like that. Or, I've heard, people say things like that. All right, this next one comes from Thundercat, and he kept it plain and simple, and I don't even need to explain it. He says, sandbagging. Enough said. The BP Hero says, temper tantrums. I've never seen the need for it in any sport. I think I'm guilty of this one too. I think you guys have seen me throw some minor temper tantrums, like the thing with the ball return and me slapping my hands together in anger. You guys have seen me do it. I have seen people yell out loud and curse over, bad shots, or when their ball is just not, not doing the right thing, or when they gutter, or when they just don't strike. I have heard people like curse themselves out and things like that. I haven't seen any other I haven't seen like temper tantrums that have gone off the deep end. I haven't seen people take their anger out on anybody or anything like that, thank God. And nobody goes that far, but you're right, I've never seen the need for it. But hey, even professional bowlers do it too. We've seen it. I mean, we've seen Ryan Simonelli and Chris Barnes tear their shirts in anger. We've seen Anthony Simonson punch himself in the face. We've seen him slam balls on the ball return. We've heard him say things that he shouldn't be saying on live TV. So yeah, at least we know temper tantrums. It doesn't just happen in league. It definitely happens at the pro level as well. All right, so the last one of the day comes from Brandon Cannon. It's pretty plain and simple. Everybody knows this one. We've all been there. We've all done that. Lane courtesy. I have come across this sort of thing. I'm actually guilty of it myself. This kind of thing happened to me way back, like in the when I first started bowling. I didn't know about it when I was in league. I still remember that night. This person was in the lane to the left of me, and I stepped up right there on the right, and then my friend Fern had to stop me, like, wait, dude, let him go first. And then that's when he started explaining to me the whole lane courtesy thing, and I didn't know about it. So, but from that day all the way up until today, I now know about the whole lane courtesy rule, and I have never once broken that rule again. But believe it or not, I have not really come across that whole lane courtesy thing a whole lot. I did recently come across it. Well, not recently, but the most recent event where I came across this sort of scenario with the lane courtesy thing was in the very first week of this league that I'm currently in. This new group of people who only bowl for fun, and they've never actually been in a league. They didn't know about the lane courtesy rule, and I remember during the I can't remember what week or what frame, but I do remember I stepped up on the approach and I was getting ready to go, and then this dude just grabs his ball and steps up and just totally takes his shot, and I'm like, seriously? But I didn't confront the person or anything like that. I didn't tell him anything, because I'm not the kind of person to just start going to create conflict or get in anybody's face or anything like that. Like I said, I keep my comments to myself. But yeah, that person, I definitely without a doubt cut them slack because they were new to league. They didn't know about it, but I'm sure somebody had to have it. I'm sure their teammates must have explained it to them by now, but it kind of blew my mind that their teammates or somebody on their pair didn't explain it to them beforehand. But yeah, that lane courtesy thing, man, it's something that we all know it. We've all come across it. Yeah, I'm sure we're all guilty of it, having stepped up on the approach while somebody was already there before you. We've all been there. We've all done that. In fact, if you've never come across this, then wow, you have a clean record. But anyway, that pretty much covers all of the pet peeves that you guys left me and some of the bowling pet peeves of mine. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. if you guys really like this sort of a thing where we talk about certain, things in bowling, let me know some ideas. I'd love to hear from you guys. Maybe we can continue doing something like this, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. So I'm Frank the Tank. Those were bowling pet peeves. Thank you for watching. See you guys later.